everybody. I'm Campbell Brown. Thanks for joining us for MSNBC's special day-long event, Decision 2006 Battleground America. We are just 62 days away from Election Day, and the battle is raging as Republicans and Democrats fight for control of Congress. In this hour, we're going to look at some of the most competitive Senate races across the country, from New Jersey to Tennessee to Washington State. We are also going to update you on what is happening in California's 50th U.S. House District, where Republicans squeaked out a victory in a June special election to replace disgraced former Congressman Duke Cunningham. Can they do it again, or has the tide turned to favor Democrats? But we are going to begin in Tennessee and the fight to replace retiring Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist. Congressman Harold Ford Jr. is looking to make history as the first African-American in the Senate from the South since Reconstruction. But to do it, he's going to have to beat former Chattanooga Mayor Bob Corker, who was the survivor of a fierce three-way Republican primary just a few weeks ago. The Democrats' chances of taking over the Senate may depend on whether Ford can win in Tennessee, and CNBC's chief Washington correspondent John Harwood has this report on the race to replace Bill Frist.
If they staged American Idol for politicians, the winner might be someone like Harold Ford Jr. Young, Ivy League educated, attractive enough to make People magazine's most beautiful issue.
How are you?
In a single day, he works a breakfast meeting of elderly veterans, a horse show, a college rock concert, and a Tex-Mex diner, offering to personally slap bumper stickers on voters' cars.
Put one on, man. They're vinyl. They don't stain your car.
He's a new Democrat who embraces Republican icons as well as those of his own party.
Restore what Ronald Reagan talked about so well, putting this great big city called America back up on a hill.
He has the capacity to reach across political lines and connect with people who are Democrats and Republicans.
But is that enough to win a Southern Senate seat for a Democrat who happens to be black? Republican opponent Bob Corker says Ford is too liberal for this conservative state, which rejected native son Democrat Al Gore in 2000. Corker contrasts his accomplishments in business with Ford's skill at politics.
He's a good talker. I got to give him credit when that's all you do. I mean, you can be really good at it.
Yet Corker faces the same problems as Republicans elsewhere: unhappiness over Iraq, health care, gas prices, and President Bush. He even hears about it at his own campaign stop.
I think President Bush, honestly, the morale in this county is going to affect Mr. Corker's campaign.
Critical to Ford's strategy is neutralizing Republicans' edge on values by opposing gay marriage, favoring tough steps against illegal immigration, and attending this 68th annual Tennessee Walking Horse National Celebration in Shelbyville. Ford plays down the chance of becoming the first black senator from the South since Reconstruction.
The only history I want to make is to try to bring the state together and try to solve problems for everybody.
That means 10 more weeks of work, hoping that one-on-one contact can produce a rare Democratic victory in Dixie.
If I touch enough people and get my ideas in front of enough people, we're going to win the race.
And joining me right now in Washington, D.C. is Congressman Harold Ford. Good to see you. Welcome.
Good to see you, too.
And we should also mention that we invited your Republican opponent, former Chattanooga Mayor Bob Corker, to join us. He wasn't able to make it, but hopefully...
He wouldn't say yes to meet the press either.
All right, okay. Well, hopefully we're going to have him on before Election Day.
He won't even say yes to the ones in Tennessee. I'd love if even if we could just debate there, it'd be great.
Let's talk about issues to start us off. What, in your opinion, what issue is dominating the campaign right now? Is it Iraq?
Iraq, gas prices, and illegal immigration. But enveloping all of that, an overarching theme is that people just want government to work again. They're tired of all the yelling, and the only message I have to Democrats and even Republicans that are running this go-around: stop yelling, stop screaming, stop throwing barbs at one another. People want to know, what can we do in Iraq? I believe we need a three-state solution, similar to what Joe Biden and Evan Bayh are advancing. What do we do about gas prices? I think there's no doubt you got to take agricultural products, provide tax incentives for the car companies to make cars that get better miles to the gallon, and renew the tax credits for renewable sources, including hydrogen and wind and solar. What do you do about illegal immigration? You seal the borders for 30 days, get a sense of who's in the country. Deploy the National Guard in active duty if we have to. What the Senate decided to do just the other day, pushing it off the table, shame on Bill Frist. Shame on the United States Senate for ignoring the needs and desires of people, not just in my state, but everywhere. In short, people want government to work. Put aside the Democrat-Republican label, they want it to work. The reason we're winning in Tennessee is that people see our campaign as representing something bigger than a Democrat or Republican label. They see it as representing a chance to get something done in Washington.
All right, let me hone in on more of the specifics in Iraq. You said you supported Biden's plan, this sort of dividing things up into three 3 states, if you can call it that. But
yes, ma'am.
It's also about troop withdrawal. And whether it's on a timetable or immediately, what's the upside, in your opinion, of bringing American forces out?
Well, his is not about troop withdrawal. His is about achieving the first 2 important goals. One, giving the Kurds, Shias, and Sunnis an opportunity to build a future for themselves, to create a central government that will handle border security.
Right, but you have to deal with the security situation on the ground first.
Right, but he didn't talk about leaving. Well, the security situation on the ground.
Where are you then on troop withdrawal? Do you support a timetable?
I want to win, and then we can come home. I think that it's a false debate about leaving or staying. We want to win.
But that's the debate that the country is having right now.
That's the debate that politicians are having.
Okay, but answer the question. Do you believe that American forces should begin withdrawing this year?
No, not until, well, if we finish the job, sure, but if we haven't finished the job and the prospects of being able to divide the country, if you look at the Dayton Accords, what Richard Holbrooke was able to achieve there, it took a little time for it to happen. We still have a military presence helping the Croats and Muslims and Serbs and Bosnians. But they live more peacefully than they did before. We will have a military presence in Iraq for a long time. I'm one Democrat that has never voted to withdraw and won't. But I believe staying the course, listening to the president just yesterday, and it was a great speech, but I have 2 questions. If he believes that, how then do you disband the only unit at the CIA dedicated to going after bin Laden? The Alex station has been disbanded. You should revive it. And 2, if al-Qaeda is important as we say, how can you stand idle as Pakistan now gives haven to terrorists who won't attack Pakistan or Afghanistan? That'd be like us giving haven to Hezbollah in Memphis, saying, we'll let you stay here as long as you don't attack America, but you can do what you want in Israel. It's not the way to go about it. So I don't believe we should leave until the job is done.
You've been upfront about criticizing the president for his handling of Iraq, but what about the Democratic leadership? Do you think they have been strong enough in holding the Republicans and holding the president to account?
They've tried, but I would remind everybody that, and I heard my friend Mr. Holt ask Sherrod Brown the question, you've been in Congress for a while. We must remember, the Republicans have the majority in the House, the Senate, the White House, and they have a majority on the Supreme Court. Now, I wasn't very good at the game when I grew up, but that's called a monopoly. That'd be like owning all the red, yellow, and the light blue properties. They have a monopoly and have not been able to accomplish these things. The truth of it is, we need to stop yelling, sit down, and craft a set of answers that not only will satisfy Democrats and Republicans in Washington, but remember, the people want this resolved, and that's who we should be focused on.
All right, let me ask you more specifics about what's going on locally before we run out of time here. And some of the criticism in the race has been directed at you regarding your connection to Tennessee. You're raised in Washington, D.C. You were raised in a fairly privileged life. And
my opponent's worth $250 million. I mean, he's worth $250 million. And as I've said over and over again, my dad was elected to Congress when I was 4, and I did not have a job or the money to move out the house to stay in Memphis, so I moved to Washington. I've been in Congress for 10 years representing the people of the 9th District in Tennessee and Memphis. I've won with an average of 82% of the vote. When you have no record to defend and no vision to fight for, my God, or I should say my church and my pastor always told me that people just want to attack you. Bless little Mr. Corker's heart. If he feels so strongly about his ideas for the future, he should come on and debate me and give the voters a chance, and even give MSNBC's audience a chance to hear him. All he does is attack me.
All right. Well, you know, Chris Matthews on Hardball yesterday asked two of his top 2 political analysts to name their upsets, what they thought would be their upset races, and they said Harold Ford in Tennessee.
We're pleased.
You're still 6 points behind, though, according to the latest polls.
The state Republican Party in Tennessee, you ought to ask Mr. Corker to give you that poll. They won't release it publicly. Their poll shows us narrowly ahead. We realize this is a challenge. When you take on the majority leader of the United States Senate, when you take on President Bush, who's been to the state once, will come back, we understand, 3 more times, they know this race is serious. If this was a give-me race for the Republicans, they'd debate me. They wouldn't send President Bush and Vice President Cheney down. The reason they're concerned is not because of me or what I'm doing. It's that people want a change in my state, and we're offering them something that Bob Corker's not. Real answers and real ideas.
Congressman Harold Ford, we got to end on that note. Good to have you here. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
I like you on the Today Show, too.
Thank you very much. Nice to hear that. From Tennessee to the battle playing out in New Jersey. Coming up next, a closer look at the race for Senate in the Garden State. Democratic incumbent Senator Bob Menendez is going to join me live in the studio. And later, Democrats are hoping to get control of Congress, but what are their chances? We'll analyze that straight ahead here on MSNBC special coverage of Decision 2006, Battleground America.